Carlos, I know there's a story behind this guitar.
Yes, I met Larry Carlton, and he was my mentor, and he's Mr. 335. And to find a left-handed one was difficult, and to find one that sings, as he would say. And he's one of those guys that can tell the difference. The battery's been changed in this, so his ears are super fine.
Yeah.
And he said, look for a 335 in shops, and when you find one, let me know, and I'll check it out and see how it works for you. So I found this one in Long Beach.
Okay.
He went and he played it, took it off the shelf, and he said, hang out for a second. And next thing I know, he said, let's go, and then here's your guitar. So he bought me this guitar. And it was my main guitar for so many years. And there's a record by Gino Vanelli called Brother to Brother, and still people say, I love what you played on that.
Yeah.
This was the guitar with that Boogie Amp.
Wow.
And the sound of it is amazing. It's just this guitar, a volume pedal, and the amp. That's it. And then the guitar speaks for itself.
Wow. And so it's a right-handed that's been converted to a left-handed also. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, Mike McGuire from Valley Arts, here's the knobs where they went, and you can see, and he flipped it over. And then he put these bridges in them that have rollers in them, so the strings roll really good. And this guitar, I don't know, you probably can't see it, but the frets are scalloped from somebody playing it so much. So by the time I got it, somebody had worn it out.
Okay.
So it had plenty of years on it.
And you had it refretted?
Many times, yeah. Different kinds of frets, but it always remained like that.
And it has soul, huh?
It has a lot of soul, yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like a 335 should.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Stock pickups?
Stock pickups, yeah. And they're, you know, they're a certain vintage, whatever they are, you compare them and different ones sound differently. And that was the sound I was looking for. And Larry, too.
Yeah. And so that's pretty interesting that you got Larry's help in getting some mentorship.
Oh, man, he was my musical dad.
Yeah. That's great.
Plus the ears. The only drag was you got so picky that every little thing, you know, that's my sound. And if you didn't have that one ingredient, it's like, well, I can't play as good as I can because I'm missing an ingredient.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So this, you know, all the things that were put on it, these are, you tune it from here.
Yeah.
How much sustain it has, all that. This is brass, so you have more. It was all a meticulous process to get it to do what it does.
Yeah. I guess before we talk about that guitar, tell me about the Boogie Amp behind you there. Tell me about purchasing that.
That Boogie Amp, again, Larry had a Boogie, an original one, and I wanted to get one, and I actually called Boogie, which was in their beginning stages, and they made it for me and they sent it out, and that was my go-to amp for everything. And Carlos Santana always played them, so I was a fan of his. And on that same record, Brother to Brother, it was that 335, and this amp just cranked up with a microphone on it.
How many years did you use that amp?
15 years, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're so loud and so amazing, and it still sounds great. It's really tight.
Yeah.
The way the sound is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's its own beast.
Yeah.
But it's so loud that when you get in a room, everybody always wants you to turn down.
Right, of course.
And it needs to be turned up for it to break up and to sound great.
Okay.
So that's why in a studio, you just let it go.
Let it go.
It does its thing.
That's cool.
This is my second Valley Arts guitar that Mike McGuire made for me. And I wanted something custom, and back then it was rare to see just a black and white guitar. Now you see it everywhere. But it's got like herringbone binding around the edges. It's got my name with the number, it's like number 174 from Valley Arts. And it's a Gibson scale rather than a Fender scale, so it sounds a little bit different. It doesn't have the twang, but it has the girth, the guts of a Gibson guitar. And it's the same thing, EMG pickups, so they'd be quiet. Same kind of thing with the rollers on it.
It's a beautiful guitar.
Oh, it's great. And if you look on YouTube, any Lionel Richie stuff from like in Amsterdam at the, whatever that is, Ahoy.
Yeah.
It's this guitar, you'll see it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. So Carlos, tell us about these guitars here.
They're both kind of a Tele hybrid, and this is the Frankenstein. You can see all the battle scars of it. A guy named Bernie Hefner made it for me, and I came up with this shape because I was used to playing a 335, and when you play them, you hug it like this with your arm because it's a big body. And then a Tele is smaller, so my hands would always fall off. So it's kind of like an oversized back Tele. And John Carruthers made the neck on it, and then finally he said, I'll make you a legit guitar, so it's not a Frankenstein. And this was the refined product. But they both were on tour with me for so long.
Who'd you play with?
Mainly with Stevie Nicks. So many, tours and recordings with her. I've been with either one of these. I just don't remember which one because they're both white, and whichever one was available.
Sure. Yeah. Very good. And what do you like about the playability of the guitars?
The one thing that you can hug them like a big solid body. I mean, a hollow body 335. I can hug it here. It's got legit Fender pickups. These are Lindy Fralins on both of them, and it's like Stevie Ray Vaughan. They twang like that. So
yeah.
These guitars have that twang, and they play great.
Yeah.
The necks are great. This is a Valley Arts neck, and it came off of a Strat, and it went on here, and this is a legit Carruthers.
These two Yamaha amps you've got behind you, what you can tell us about those? I've never seen those before.
I think maybe in the way we started with the refrigerator rack,
Yeah.
excess of gear to get a sound. When I would show up with that, I always had a trunk that had all my gear, and that amp was always with me. And whenever I would plug in that amp, the engineer would say, can you just leave the rack and play out of that? Because the sound is so pure, it's so punchy, and it's a great sound. That's why I have two of them, because I had to have a backup. But from all that excess gear, and then having it there and somebody saying, use that, it was a deflator in a way, but that's basically what it is. And now we've evolved back, or
Yeah.
de-evolved
Right.
into just an amp and a guitar
Yeah.
that's got tubes, and it's, what do you call it? Organic.
Yeah.
That's the new term.
Yeah.
So we're back with organic.
And this isn't a tube amp, right? It's a solid state amp.
That's a solid state amp, but it sounds like a tube, and it's got distortion. You can pull on it, and then it's got a little foot pedal,
Yeah.
and it served all of my needs. It would break up, it would play clean,
Wow.
so that was great. With the Boogie, you had to do a dance. It was great distortion and distorted rhythm, or great rhythm and clean solo.
Right.
But with this one, you could have best of both worlds.